大家好，我是程老师. Recently, Manhattan Mandarin parents, students, and teachers all got to sit in on a Zoom call with Gill, the CEO of Skritter. If you don't know Skritter, it is, in my opinion, the #1 character learning app out there. Basically, it has an endless supply of character lists from Chinese Pod to integrated Chinese to Chinese Made Easy. And today, Jake is going to take us his top 3 ways to better your character learning habits. Number 1, study what you love. If you're into Chinese food, learn enough Chinese so you can go order in Mandarin. If you're into calligraphy, practice writing those characters. If you're into technology, learn enough vocab to understand this clip.
它为什么是6条腿呢？
这是为了增加它的，
还不是我们的正式产品。
Not official. 那现在大概有一些什么样的应用场景？
If you're studying what you love, it will significantly increase the speed at which you can learn Chinese. Number 2, don't copy, analyze. Jake's gonna handle this one.
My favorite kind of 学习方法, my study method was 抄写, so it was copying characters. And I think this is pretty common. So you can see here, I made tons of flashcards every single day. I had to get ready for things. The next day I had my tingxie, I had my little exam. I was like, crud, I gotta learn 20 characters tomorrow. How am I gonna do this? Well, I'm gonna do what I do for most of my other classes. I'm gonna write it down over and over again. Or I'm gonna just go through my notes and drill over and over and over and over. Let's look at the other way that is I think is the way to learn characters. And so this is called 5 steps to learn Chinese characters, 5 steps for Chinese character mastery. And it really is kind of as quote unquote simple as 5 steps. And so the first step is to read the character. And when we read the character here, what I mean is to really look at these characters, not to just give it a passing glance, not to take a snapshot and put it in Pleco's OCR reader, but to understand this character, pick out things. Do you know or recognize any parts of this character? Can you realize the stroke order of this character or guess at it or something? And so when you read this character, when you really look at it, you're taking that moment and you're turning off your autopilot brain and you're putting on your critical thinking cap. And so when we do that, then we can start analyzing characters. So we can look at the stroke order of the character. We can look at the structure of the character. We can look at we can analyze the functional components of the character. What is the meaning component of the character? What is the sound component? So if you're thinking back to my name, Gao Jian, right? If we look at that Jian, we know, okay, the left-hand side, that's the standing Ren radical, and that's human or person. And the right-hand side, well, it's the sound component. It doesn't really function as anything else inside of that character. But knowing that is gonna help me not only with that character, but also help me learn other characters in the future. So when we analyze characters and break them down, we start to be able to kind of rebuild and put these pieces together in different ways for other characters. It helps future analysis. It helps retention of the current character. So we want to analyze the character. After that, if we want to, and here we're talking about writing, so I think it's an important step to being able to master a character, but writing a character. Not copying a character, but writing it. And looking at it, ideally from memory without reference. And so you write it down, you visualize it in your head, you write down that character, you're mindful while you're doing it of the structure, of the stroke order, of the composition, of the components. And then when you're done with that, you compare. So we 对比. So we look at a comparison. We say, okay, does my character look like the character I'm trying to write? And if it doesn't, that's okay. Find out where you made a little mistake and start over. And then as we do those things, if we do those first 4 steps, then step number 5, this memorization, kind of happens. And it's not going to happen naturally. It's not just if you do these 4 steps beforehand, you will memorize every single character immediately. Unfortunately, our brains don't really work like that. And so it's going to take a little bit longer, but and that's okay, right? Making mistakes is perfectly fine. But if we do these steps and we have this exposure, then memorization is much easier.
Number 3, use the technology that you have on hand. Your phone is with you at all times, which means Skritter and other learning apps are too. Jake has shared some of his favorite resources for learning. If you have a moment, take a second to check them out. In the meantime, let's dig into what makes Skritter so unique.
And if I want to, I can always press these buttons down here. That was the erase button. And so we can go in, We can practice this as many times as we want. At some point, you're gonna get to a card that is more like this. And this is a card where it's asking you, what does the P mean? So here, this is a reading card. And so in Skritter, you're actually gonna draw the tone. So often when we do kind of tones, like we or learn to read and write Chinese, we're looking at the pinyin like directly below the characters. And eventually that kind of goes away. So with Skritter, we're actually associating that tone and I use Skritter for like an hour a day. And after 3 months, I was writing 3-hour handwritten exams without problem. And that.
If you're looking to take your character learning to the next level, be sure to check out Skritter. If you're a Manhattan Mandarin student, reach out to us for your free access.